A new executive order just dropped from the White House last week on December 11, 2025, and it effectively declares war on state level AI regulations. The goal of the executive order is to create one unified national standard for artificial intelligence. And let's be honest, this is really only great news for the tech companies, the tech bros, right? Because if you're a physician, if you're in private practice, this really creates a massive dilemma for you because your license is held by your state. The medical board is a state entity, but the AI tools that you are using or that you're thinking about using are now being advanced by a federal agenda that wants to override and preempt states under the guise of innovation and to compete with China. So, what do you do when your state is saying stop, but then the federal government is saying go? Who do you listen to? And more importantly, whose rules do you follow? And which one is going to keep you out of court? Because we know that that is very important. I'm Christina Essex. I am the founder of Proactive Principal Group, which is a national physician advocacy and education consulting firm where I serve as a crisis navigator and educator to physicians. In essence, I help physicians navigate the intersection of law, regulations, and the business of practicing medicine, right? The things that you don't learn in medical school. I'm also a healthcare attorney. I've been an attorney for over 15 years, and I own my own law firm, Essex Law Firm, which is based in Atlanta, Georgia, which is where I'm at, where I defend Georgia physicians and healthcare providers in the regulatory space. So I'm going to talk about this executive order and really kind of what it means for you, the clinical realities of this executive order while the politicians fight it out. So the executive order is titled Eliminating State Law Obstruction of National AI Policy. And it is designed to stop states from creating a patchwork of 50 different AI laws in the absence of a national regulation. It explicitly directs the U.S. Attorney to establish an AI litigation task force to challenge state laws that are considered onerous or inconsistent with this national policy. Unfortunately, the order does not clearly define onerous or inconsistent. But as part of the evaluation process, the policy looks to restrict certain funds to states whose AI laws and regulations conflict with the executive order's goals. Basically, the executive branch, the White House, is saying, look, we're going to set the rules for AI and states back off. To be clear, this is not law. This is a policy which arguably could be deemed unconstitutional and infringement on states' rights, especially since Congress has not passed any laws or regulations or any sort of national framework for this. But this is where the executive order can get sticky for healthcare professionals. First, it creates a collision course between the medical boards or your state medical board and the White House because medical medicine has always been regulated by states, right? Your state medical board determines what constitutes unprofessional conduct and whether or not what disciplinary actions are warranted. So if your state passes a law saying you must disclose to a patient whenever an AI tool is used in their care, but then the federal government sues to block that law because they believe that that law is too onerous, again, there's that word, to innovation, where does that leave you? So rest assured, this executive order is going to be challenged in court. But in the meantime, practically speaking, you still have to answer to your medical board today. The executive order also specifically targets state laws that force AI models to alter truthful outputs. There's this truthful output clause in there, which is often a reference to bias filters or any sort of algorithms that people deem to be quote unquote woke. And so in a clinical setting, this is interesting because if you use a diagnostic AI that gives raw, unfiltered data based on federal standards, but your state requires specific equity filters or disclosures to prevent discrimination or harm, then using the federally approved tool could still land you in a disciplinary hearing at the state level. And then last, this executive order creates a liability gap because again, the order was designed to protect the tech companies from liability so they can innovate. It does not protect users. It does not protect you, the healthcare professional. So if you're going to use a federally approved or federally sanctioned AI tool and it misses a diagnosis, let's be real, the patient's not going to sue the White House, right? They're going to sue you, the clinician, the healthcare provider, for malpractice. So where does that leave you? What do? Well, you don't panic, first of all. but you do get proactive. And so I'm going to leave you with 3 rules that I think you should follow while this legal battle plays out. And so, rule number 1, the standard of care remains king, right? Federal policy is about commerce, medical malpractice is about patient care and safety. So, even if the AI tool you use is legal, you are only safe if using it meets the standard of care in your specific medical community. So, don't confuse legal to use with safe to use. Number 2, when in doubt, defer to your state. Until a court explicitly strikes down a specific state law, your state medical board still holds the keys to your career. So if your state has stricter privacy or disclosure rules for AI than the federal government, follow the stricter rule because the executive order will not pause or overturn existing state laws. It's much easier to defend overcompliance than it is to defend a license revocation or any other disciplinary matter on your license. And rule number 3, document that a human is involved. The biggest risk to using AI is automation bias, which is blindly trusting the AI tool too much, right? Believing that it is 100% correct every time. And we know that that's not the case. So in your charts, in your documentation, you need to clearly document that you reviewed the AI's output and that you, the clinician, made the final clinical decision. And you need to do that every single time. Because remember, AI is a tool, it is not the doctor. In fact, the American Medical Association, the AMA, uses the term augmented intelligence instead of artificial intelligence to stress that point. So, bottom line, trust but verify and do your due diligence. So, at the end of the day, look, the landscape of AI regulation, it's going to be messy for the next few years, right? As this AI race continues. And eventually we're going to start seeing the lawsuits. We're going to start seeing the injunctions, and we're going to continue seeing the conflicting headlines surrounding AI until Congress acts. But you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to be perfect. You don't need to be a legal scholar, but you do need to be strategic. You do need to be proactive as a clinician, as a physician. So if you are using AI in your practice or you're thinking about it and you're worried about your exposure, don't guess, but do proactively evaluate your current use against these new liabilities and exposures that are out there that people are not discussing. Don't use the AI tools blindly. And if you need someone to help you kind of navigate this specific intersection of technology, regulation, and healthcare, reach out to me. You can contact me through my website, which I'll link down below for Proactive Principal Group, and schedule a consultation. And if you are a Georgia healthcare professional or practice and you need an attorney, you can also contact me at my law firm, Essex Law Firm, which I will link that website down below as well for a free consultation. And if you want more videos and information like this one, please subscribe to my channel and follow me on LinkedIn and other social media platforms. So remember, despite all of the information about AI that we're going to continue to see, please stay proactive, and I'll see you in the next video.